You said you would start today. You really meant it this time. But then the day moved the way days always move, and somehow you ended up exactly where you were yesterday, doing nothing, feeling guilty about doing nothing, and that guilt made it even harder to start. Sound familiar? If that feeling has been following you around for weeks, maybe months, then you are in exactly the right place. This video is for you, not for the people who already have it figured out. For the ones who keep trying and keep stopping and cannot understand why. Here is the thing though, and this might be a little uncomfortable to hear. The reason you cannot stay consistent has nothing to do with how motivated you are. Motivation is not actually your problem. Your problem is the shape of your days. And there is a simple rule that most people completely ignore, a rule that Confucius understood over 2,000 years ago. That changes everything once you actually see it. I will get to that in a moment. But first, let me show you what your life probably looks like right now. Because you need to see it clearly before anything can change. You wake up, and the first thing you do is reach for your phone. You tell yourself it is just 5 minutes. 1 hour later, you are still there, scrolling through things you do not even care about, and now you are late and slightly annoyed at yourself before the day has even properly started. You have a list of things you want to do. The list is good. You made it last night with real intention. But somewhere between the morning and the afternoon, the list just stops feeling urgent. So you push it. You tell yourself you will do it after lunch. After lunch becomes after dinner. After dinner becomes tomorrow. And tomorrow you do the exact same thing all over again. You feel the guilt, you feel the frustration. And underneath all of that, there is this quiet, exhausting question that you never quite say out loud. What is wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. Let me tell you a simple story. There was once a young man who wanted to become a carpenter. He had watched his uncle build things his whole life, and he genuinely wanted to learn. So one morning he walked into his uncle's workshop and said he was ready. His uncle handed him a piece of wood and a set of tools and told him to get started. The young man tried. He worked for about 20 minutes and then stopped. The wood was not cooperating. His hands were clumsy. It was not going well. So he put the tools down and told himself he would try again tomorrow when he was feeling more focused. Tomorrow came, same thing, 20 minutes. Then frustration, then stopping. This went on for weeks. And the young man started to believe he simply did not have what it took. That maybe carpentry was not for him. That maybe he had been wrong about himself. But something was off about that conclusion, and he could feel it even if he could not name it. Then one day his uncle watched him work. He did not say much, he just watched. And at the end of those 20 minutes, when the young man started putting the tools down, his uncle said one thing. He said, "You are waiting to get good before you commit. But that is backwards. You commit first, then you get good." The young man did not fully understand it that day, but he showed up the next morning anyway, and the morning after that. Not because he suddenly felt motivated, not because the wood got easier, but because he decided that showing up was the thing he did now. Every morning. Same time, same bench, same tools. This is where it changed. Within 2 weeks, his hands were steadier. Within a month, he was making things that surprised even him. Not because he had found some secret technique, but because he had stopped waiting to feel ready and just made showing up non-negotiable. Confucius noticed this exact pattern long ago. He did not call it consistency. He did not call it discipline in the way we use that word today. He called it the cultivation of daily order. He believed that the quality of a person's life came directly from the quality of their daily structure. Not their talent, not their intelligence, not their passion, their structure. He said something that sounds almost too simple when you first hear it. He said the man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. Not big strategies, not perfect plans, small stones, every day, in order. And here's where that becomes practical for you right now. The first thing to understand is this: you are waiting to feel ready before you start. And that feeling never comes. It never comes because the brain does not produce motivation before action. It produces motivation after action. The feeling of wanting to do something comes from doing it, not from thinking about it. which means every morning you wait for the right mood to arrive. You are waiting for something that only shows up once you have already begun. The rule is simple. Act first and let the feeling follow. You do not need to do an hour. You do not need to do it perfectly. Do 5 minutes. Genuinely just 5 minutes of the thing you keep avoiding. And you will almost always find that the resistance was entirely in the starting, not in the doing. But here's the problem most people run into next. Even when they start at different times on different days. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes at night, sometimes after a guilty scroll session, sometimes with coffee, sometimes without. And because the conditions keep changing, the habit never actually settles into the body. It stays in the category of things you are trying to do rather than things you just do. The second insight is about structure. Your day needs a shape, not a rigid military schedule, just one protected slot, one time and one place that belongs to the thing you are trying to build. Confucius believed deeply in this idea of returning to order. The same rituals, the same rhythms, the same small ceremonies repeated day after day. Not because repetition is exciting, because repetition is how the brain stops treating something as a decision and starts treating it as just what happens. Same time, same place. Protect that slot the way you would protect an appointment with someone you respect. This is where it breaks for most people, though. Even with a good time slot, even with 5-minute starts, they still fall off after a few days. And the reason is the third thing, which is actually the most important one. Most people rely on mood to show up. They show up when they feel like it and skip when they do not. And because mood is completely unreliable, the whole system collapses the first time life gets slightly difficult. The shift that Confucius was pointing at is an identity shift, not a habit shift. An identity shift. The difference between saying I am trying to be consistent and saying I am the kind of person who shows up every day is not just a wording difference. It is a completely different relationship to the action. One is a goal you are chasing, the other is a description of who you are. You do not negotiate with who you are, you just are it. Show up once today, not perfectly, not for long, just once, and tell yourself that this is what you do now, not what you're trying to do. What you do. Now here's something worth sitting with for a moment. Because modern advice about this topic and what Confucius was saying are actually pointing in opposite directions. And I think the tension between them is real. Modern advice tends to tell you to follow your passion, find what excites you, chase the feeling, build around what you love, and the consistency will come naturally. And there is something true in that. But Confucius would push back on it. He would say that structure comes before freedom. That you build the habit first and discover the passion inside the practice, not before it. That waiting for excitement to drive consistency is like waiting for the river to flow uphill. It is not how things actually work. So which one is right? I genuinely do not think there is one clean answer. But I do think that most people who are struggling with consistency are struggling because they are waiting for passion to carry them, rather than letting structure create the conditions where passion can grow. That is worth thinking about. Here are a few lines I want to leave with you. Not because they sound good, because they are true. Discipline is not about doing it when you feel like it. Discipline is doing it precisely when you do not feel like it. Freedom without structure does not feel like freedom. It feels like chaos with good intentions. You do not lack time. You lack a system that protects the time you already have. Small daily action is not the slow path, it is the only path. And maybe the most important one. You are not lazy, you are just living in days that have no shape. So let us close where we started. You said you would start today. And maybe you did not. But here's what I want you to understand. You did not fail because something is wrong with you. You failed because your days do not have a structure that makes starting inevitable. And structure is not something you either have or you do not. It is something you build, deliberately, one small decision at a time. The young man in the workshop did not become a carpenter because he found motivation. He became a carpenter because he decided that showing up was simply what he did now. Every morning, same bench, same tools, whether he felt like it or not. That decision is available to you today, not tomorrow, today. So tell me, What is the one thing you will do for just 5 minutes today? Leave it in the comments, not for me, for you. Because saying it out loud is the first act of someone who shows up. If this landed somewhere real for you, like the video and subscribe to mine in Exile. We go deep here, every single time. Thanks for listening.